Hello. I'm so used to putting up 2 videos a day. I like to do that. I really enjoy doing this, but you know, I'm going through one of those things again where it seems the heavy heart goes on, and you keep waiting for it to lighten up, and maybe it doesn't. So, my way is just to try to make peace with that, and just give it its due. There's there's lots of learning that goes on, and sometimes maybe we just need to see ourselves under different circumstances. Um, I I don't know. I'm getting used to seeing myself differently. You get given understandings as you're going through your pain and or your discomfort. Um, I had something come up recently where it wasn't pain so much as a terrible, awkward discomfort, and that's important to look at too. What's underneath of that? What is bringing that up? And dare I say, what part of I is feeling that, huh? I mean, is that a part of the real me or is it not? Now, chances are pretty good. It's an aspect of mind, but I don't know. You just have to take the ride and see where it takes you. But if we're willing to open up and look at things and admit that we are a coin with two sides, we have the good guy side and the bad guy side right together, right within. It turns out that it looks like other people are interested too in this topic of heaven and hell and out of body journeying and near death experiences and that kind of thing. And since that's what I'm working on and through and with, I figured I could at least make another video about that, huh? How do you like my purple monster? I think he's pretty neat. And yet, he still has a bit of the flavor of how I've been feeling. So, um, it was really neat to see all the comments you guys left, and I answer the ones that I can right away, and the ones I don't have an immediate answer to, I put them in heart. And so, if yours doesn't get answered right away with the rest, don't worry, it will. Sometimes it takes a day or two. Sometimes you guys bring me learning as well. You really do. Storm Wings has been a real blessing to me to have me looking deeply, inquiring into self. And she did that by challenging me. And I think that's just fine. I welcome the challenges. I mean, if you want to bring your muddy feet and stomp around on my sweet little channel, as I like to think of it, I maybe I won't appreciate that so much. I've still got some trying to convince everybody I'm a reptilian. Whatever. I don't even dare tell them about projection, do I? Excuse me. Oh dear. Laughter's good for the soul, they say. Oh, God bless us, everyone, every single rotten, dirty, wonderful one of us. May we all be thoroughly blessed this Christmas season, huh? And Hanukkah and all the rest of it. Oh, so where was I? Oh dear. I haven't been having any flavored eggnog or anything, folks, I promise. Okay, so I was just listening to a guy. If you put a search in, his name is Michael Newton, Newton. And he's a hypnotist that's been working, it sounds like, a number of decades. And he's got some pretty fascinating stuff to share. And so you might enjoy. He takes the full realm of all that he's gotten and learned from regressing his clients. He started out as a standard hypnotist, but at some point he went in another direction, and so now he does a lot of work with between lives, with other lives, just with helping people find their greater self and their purpose, their meaning, and all that kind of thing. So he's very enjoyable to listen to. And I just got through listening to him say he doesn't think there's a hell. And it was very well put, he said, from his clientele. And he gives a really good distinction. He says, when somebody has an NDE, their body's in trauma, and it's a short duration, and they may have drugs on board or different things. They've got all kinds of stuff going on. He said, when I'm working with people in hypnosis, we're looking at a 3-hour session. They're totally relaxed, and they really did die. They didn't come back, after a few minutes or an hour or so to tell about it. And so, he makes some legitimate points. He really does. But, how big a clientele can one person have in one lifetime, in a few decades? And so, be that as it may, I do believe that people do have these experiences. And it's kind of frightening. But one of the things that gave me the most joy, I had thought I'd given this up as a hobby, but the NDE, the near-death experience thing, obviously still lights some kind of fires inside of me here. One of the things that gave me the most joy was learning about the so-called judgment and how that went down. I started out with the Life Before Life book. Okay, who was it? I've lost the name right now, but he's a big name in near-death studies. And you have so many people, so many. We've got tens of thousands of reports, I don't know, maybe hundreds of thousands now, of people's experiences. And you take away, give people their anonymity and just look in general at what's being said, and you get so many things that are so much in common that you just are forced to admit, hey, there's really something here. There's some kind of commonality that ties the huge bulk of these things together. You might have 5%, 10% of people that will have the more rare experiences, maybe the venture into hell or something like that. That's not so common. It's really not. I think you find it more often with a suicide, or the suicide will go down the tunnel to the white light and be told, sorry, you're taking the return trip right now, and just not be allowed entry into the light. But in general, there are so many things that are in common. And I was so pleasantly surprised to learn that the judgment is in no way, shape, or form anything to do with hellfire and damnation and fear and being judged. It's just not like that. What it turns out to be is, and before I go there, let me take a second and say, look at reincarnation, if you will. If you are a mean, cruel master of slaves who is just horrible, how do you think you're going to come back in future lives? Not out of any kind of sense of cruelty, but you will come back as a slave. Hello? If you were terribly prejudiced against one race or another, honey, you better get ready to wear the skin suit of them that you're prejudiced against, because you're creating that for your future. And it's not for punishment. It's got nothing at all to do with punishment. It's to soften the heart. It's to help us so that we can walk a mile in our brothers' and our sisters' moccasins and have a softening go on. It's a beautiful thing. It's to help that hothouse rose mature, and to be the very best it can be. It's all love. Everything is love. There's no punishment, there's no judgment, there's no meanness, there's none of that. We try those roles on in our various incarnations. But so let's look at the judgment then. Okay, so if the whole underpinning, the whole idea, the whole everything is love, here's a person reviewing their life. And, I think it's usually with like 1 to 3 beings with them, helping them, there for them. And they're looking at everything, and they're feeling everything, not only from their perspective, every single thought, word, or deed that they had, and the result of every single thought, word, or deed that they had. So they get to feel it from all of those perspectives. If they slapped the kid and then the kid went and kicked the dog, they get to feel the dog being kicked. They get to be the dog. They get the consequences. And so it's to help the rose bloom. It's to soften the heart. It's to expand perception and perspective. And so whatever judgment there is so often a focus of where could you, how could you have done better here? Did you love enough? It's given. Just imagine your most dearly beloved child, and you're going over something your child did with them. How are you going to handle that? Are you going to be terrible and judgmental and Kismet, get away, and that sort of thing? Or are you going to, have the child's best interests at heart and try to present it in such a way that it's a growing experience, that there's learning, that there's blessing that comes out of it? This isn't a judgment in the way we've been taught. I wish, I hope, I pray everybody wakes up and throws away this whole concept of judgment. It is not a thing of heart. When we are in heart, even when we're here in 3D, my friends, you don't judge. Not yourself, not another. I don't care if it's Saddam Hussein. You don't. You're just not in that energy. It's not an energy of light and love. It's a terrible energy. It's an energy of mind. Mind that wants everything tallied neatly in columns and rows and all of that sort of thing. So I wanted to share my joy when I discovered what the judgment is about. I mean, hey, if that's what the judgment is, bring it on, I wish we could order up, not necessarily an NDE, but maybe an enhanced OBE, and get a judgment, get a report card for how are we doing. And a lot of times these people come back with reinvigorated memory of what they're here for, what they're here to do. Some people have even been shown their future spouse and future children. I think sometimes they do it to help persuade them to come back because, one of the most consistent things in and across the NDE is that people, when they're in the light, don't want to come back. Now, I mean, that makes sense. A lot of times their bodies are in a tremendous amount of distress. Come on, they just died, right? And so they're coming back into some pain and so on. But I think even if that wasn't the case, you just get over there and you get exposed to what real love and light is all about. And you just don't want to leave it. I mean, this is a really hard place to be in 3D. You'll hear Alex Collier, for instance, say that we're all heroes for being here, that's how the Andromedans look at it, that it's tremendously difficult to incarnate and live a life here on this planet at this time. Although this is a better time, I think, than it's been for several thousand years. I mean, come on. The matrix is falling down all over the place. There's all kinds of cracks in the system, and they're just not getting away anymore with all the backdoor stuff, all the, the smoky room where the deals get made and nobody ever gets to hear about it. So much of that is coming out now. The whole thing about trying to convince us that there aren't any UFOs. If that isn't bullshit, honey, oh my God, it's just insane. Um, it's crazy the way we've been manipulated, but we're in the best time that there is in a way, because we're bringing on the age of light. Now, there's a lot of people that are objecting, and I'm not really sure what people mean when they say New Age. But I hate to see prejudice of any kind against any group, and I don't care who they are, and I don't care if they're full of BS. You don't write whole groups of people off for anything. How about some understanding? Now, I don't know what is meant when people are I get accused of being New Age sometimes. And I guess I'm not totally sure what that means. I don't like seeing people get lumped together anyway. We're all individual, and this is a really important time to be that. Yeah, we're coming into oneness, sure we are, but we're not losing our individuality in order to do it. And I think the way that we're doing it is by coming fully into our individuality. We've got some standing up and peacefully non-complying to do. Peaceful non-compliance, pass the word. That's the deal. And we're all going to be called on in various ways to stand up and quit just sitting back and letting ourselves get steamrolled. So much of that is going on. I just got an email of a video where a father in Canada, I think, was being arrested for feeding his children organic food. They're marching this coitus alimentarius, or however you say it. They're really they're arresting people for having organic cheese or organic farmers. They're locking them up. It's insane what's going on, and I don't know how we're going to get the word out and how we're going to resist this, but I know that it must happen. This is some kind of real insanity, but I don't care if they manage to do it. We're still going to bust right out of whatever cage they try to put us in. I don't care if it gets to the point where we find a way as light beings to survive on light and not have to eat the crappy food that they have so polluted, that they want to force it down us so that we get disconnected from higher self. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Bless every bite of food, every drink that you take into your sacred body. Bless your bath water. Bless your shower water. Bless everything, my friends. And let's all get pictures of the beautiful ice crystals of Masaru Emoto. Put them on our walls. Put them on the walls of our consciousness. And be aware of the power of the word and the instant responsiveness of nature to that word. Most everything is water. There's no life without it. Life is water. Everything is water. There's no life. And so if only all of the water in everything responded to us that way, that would be sufficient. You can take and make inert any kind of negativity that has been put in or on your food. All right? We are transcending 3D, people. And there's some really good side benefits that go along with that. We will not be polluted and manipulated the way some want to do. It's over. And just because they can't see it and can't admit it doesn't mean we have to put up with it. So, one way or another, whatever you do, stay in heart. Heart is your guidance system, and it's infallible. It really is. We just have to learn how to be there and be there consistently. It's important to be humble as well, and not to get to thinking that we know it all. We don't. We've got guides for that. We've got light beings. We've got support, aid, and assistance. No matter who and what you are, where you are in creation, in cosmos, there's always somebody above you, and there's always somebody beneath. And so this one-upmanship or competition or that whole thing is bogus. That's another mind game that I think we need to step out of. You're not in competition with anyone. And when you want to look for standards to live up to, look to the saints, look to the light beings, look to the highest ones you can think of. Don't look around you, because we're going to break all the molds. We are stepping out, and our children and our youth are leading the way for this. They have what it takes, they have the vision, and they haven't got the pollution on board that we do at this point. And one way or another, we're transcending all of it. It's a 3D body, it's not you. It's a 3D body they're polluting. It's not you. Okay? And we have power and ability that at this point we know not of. But we're learning. We're waking up. And Emoto is leading the charge in a way, is he not? I mean, look at that. How hard is it to put two and two together there and figure out what we need to do and figure out the power of a blessing? Love and light to you, my dear friends. I do love you. In Lakesh.